So officially welcome everyone. We're now with 46 participants, and a very warm welcome to everyone. So this meeting kind of exploded. It went a little bit viral, but that's okay. It just comes to show that there's a lot of interest and need for this information about interinstitutional agreement managers. So without further ado, we are now in the short introduction, and how will the coming 1.5 hours look? First, we will give a short introduction also on the Erasmus interinstitutional agreements in Erasmus Without Paper, just a short recap. Then there's a diving into the kitchens of the Erasmus Dashboard, MoveOn, MobilityOnline, and Osiris. Then we have breakout rooms per system, and last of all, a conclusion where we try to conclude the points that came up. A few colleagues are, unfortunately, they have a hard time getting into the meeting. Sofia Tsaldari, she's the digital officer of Nuffic. She's still trying to get into the meeting. We also have Jeannette Hulshoff. She's the coordinator of the interinstitutional agreements at Windesheim. Then we have Humera Said, International Relations Business Officer at Han University of Applied Sciences, Lisanne van Haften, International Office of Erasmus University, Rotterdam, Virginia van der Ster van der Wel, International Relations Officer. All this internationalization is breaking my tongue, at Breda University of Applied Sciences. And we have Elizabeth de Hennepe. She's a policy officer at Radboud University and my technical go-to this meeting. And then myself, I'm an information manager specialized in internationalization at Radboud University in the Netherlands. So another time you can join us on Slack to continue the conversation after this meeting. And also if you're watching the replay, welcome. And you can also join the conversation, which will be ongoing on there. So first, a little view into who we all are. You all registered for this meeting, and we had a lot of people registering, many from France. I don't know what it is with France, but there are many colleagues from France. Welcome. The Netherlands, Italy, Germany, Latvia, Hungary, Belgium. Well, there's even one from United States of America, who don't even have Erasmus Without Paper. So also welcome to the United States if you are here. And then if we want to take a look at the what systems people are using for their interinstitutional agreements management, they will be using Erasmus Dashboard mostly. And the next is MoveOn, and then MobilityOnline, and then Osiris. You also have Cineca, that's from Italy, Solonovo, that's from Sweden, I think. FS is, I think, from Norway. And then you have another commercial provider. There are also a few. And then you have in-house built software, and a lot of people haven't decided yet, which is, of course, also very valid. Oh, and I see that Sophia has also joined us. So that's nice because she will do a little bit of the presentation in a few minutes. First, I want to give you a little disclaimer, because we are not experts. We are not the European Commission. We are not the European University Foundation. We are just users of these systems. And we thought it would provide value to give you an insight into the different IIA systems. So you will get a glimpse of messy kitchens, work in progress, things that are not yet functioning, and that this is the whole point. So please don't remark about how it's not working yet, because it's not. This is a Dutch initiative, but it's a global community because, of course, we are with 5,600 institutions in total trying to get a grasp of Erasmus Without Paper. Yeah, and that's it. So for the Dutch approach, I would like to ask Sophia to give a little introduction.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
I'm really glad I could finally make it after blood, sweat, and tears. So hi, everyone. Good afternoon. And welcome to the workshop. My name is Sofia Tsaldari, and I'm the digital officer of the Dutch National Agency. The past few months, the Netherlands has intensified its efforts in enforcing the Erasmus Without Paper national network, and I'd like to give a small update on how this has been achieved. Sometime last year, I think, I've been approached by Evelyn and Virginia, who were searching for ways to get connected with the rest of the higher education institutions in the Netherlands. And together we have formed a team which has been expanding ever since, with an increasing number of universities joining us. Meanwhile, the Dutch National Agency has launched a dedicated Yammer group on digitization, which serves as the main platform of exchanging information with each other and other successful Erasmus Without Paper stories. And we have established also monthly EWP meetings ever since. Today's workshop is the result of these continuous efforts, and I would like to take a second and thank everybody who has spent countless hours the past few months in testing, brainstorming, and providing us with great tips and solutions. And of course, I would like to give a big thank you to our organizer and speakers of today's event. I think that's part of my story. Evelyn, could you please take it from here?
Sure thing. Thank you for the short introduction. So for a quick recap of EWP, Erasmus Without Paper, what is it again? Is it mandatory? ? Sophia will lighten that aspect a little bit later. What ways of connecting are there to the network? And then what do we need to review these IIA management platforms? What factors are we reviewing them on? So we will be reviewing them on the general fact sheet data, the content per agreement, and the signing procedure. Back to Sophia for a short insight into the timeline.
Yes, this is just a small recap and to refresh our memories on where we are at the moment. Of course, due to COVID-19, the timeline and the scale of the launching of the interinstitutional agreements has been shifted. This is a brief reminder of how it was and how it has become. So basically, the May deadline has been shifted to October 2020. So higher education institutions have the time until now to test the interinstitutional agreement manager. And from January 2021 until October 2021, higher education institutions will start the renewal process gradually, which will have to be finalized before the first mobilities under Call 2022 start. So this is the timeline as it has been sketched by the European Commission and EUF. Of course, the launching of the online learning agreement, the timeline has not been shifted. So this has stayed on 2021. So the online learning agreements will be launched in 2021, 2022 for the interinstitutional agreements. And of course, nominations, acceptances, and transcript of records stands for 2023 at the moment.
Thank you. So this is slightly new information, but it's also, it will be communicated. It was communicated last week to a few digital officers, and next week it will also be officially communicated by the European Commission. So next, this is a slide from the European University Foundation. So how do you connect to Erasmus Without Paper? There were three options. Either you have your own inbuilt, in-house built software, or you use the Erasmus Dashboard, or you have a third-party provider. And they said, reach out to them. And this meeting is all about, yeah, but what do I say when I reach out to them? So how do I start this conversation? And what am I actually going to talk about with them? So I want to welcome you to our kitchens, actually. Let me just expand a little bit on the kitchen metaphor, because we have a lot of ingredients that we're all working with. These ingredients include the number of students, the name of the partner, the subject area, etc. Everything that you put into your interinstitutional agreement. But all of our kitchens, they look different. Who is the cook? Who has the authorization to send a dish to someone who is waiting in the restaurant? Who does the final touches? Who's the sous chef? If we want to see a menu list of what we can present to our colleagues and to our staff and our students, we need to know what needs to be on that list and what kind of buttons or what kind of interface they can work with. So you could see the opening hours of the restaurant and the opening hours of the kitchen. You could see it as the fact sheet data. So at what time does your term start? At what time does your autumn or fall semester start? At what time can students actually register for a mobility at your university? And then there's also a simile between a waiter and an API. I know that API always sounds a little bit technical for everyone. It's application programming interface. And you see the API a lot in the Erasmus Without Paper framework. APIs are actually just waiters. They come to your table, they give you the menu, and they say, what do you want to know? And then you choose from the menu, the waiter takes it back to the kitchen and says, I want this. I want to know how many students can come next semester. I want to know what the learning agreement of the student says. And then the kitchen and the person in the restaurant are never communicating directly, they're communicating via this API. And this API has the menu and it has the complete oversight into what can be done between these two systems. So that's how far the kitchen metaphor goes. If you have any more creative insight into this kitchen metaphor, please let us know, because I'm always looking to expand. So the point of review, we're going to look at the general fact sheet data, the content per agreement, and the signing procedure. So let's dive in. We will first start with the Erasmus Dashboard. And before I forget, in the chat, you can find a link to the Padlet. And the Padlet is actually, so we first had this Padlet where we see, look, we have all these colleagues that are joining in. But also we have a second Padlet. And the second Padlet has columns for every management system that I could find until now. With links to the websites, but also when you click the plus sign, you can actually add your own question. So if you have a question about the Erasmus Dashboard, or about if you have a tip or a remark, just put it on there, and you can put it here, and then, yeah, it will be there. So that's also what we'll use during the breakout rooms. Okay, we're going on to the Erasmus Dashboard. So Lisanne van Haften, she recorded a little movie of the Erasmus Dashboard for you, and we will look at that. It's 5 minutes.
Hello everyone, my name is Lisanne and I'm from the Erasmus University of Rotterdam. I'll be showing you the Interinstitutional Agreement Manager in the Erasmus Plus Dashboard. When you log in, this is the start page that you see, with the general information of your own institution. And then over here is the part of the IIA Manager. As you can see, it's still a beta version. We're still in the test phase. The final version is not there yet, so it might eventually look a bit different. But it doesn't really matter. We'll just go through it as it is right now. Yeah, so if you want to make a new one, you go here to New Digital IIA. This is the basic information. You don't really have to do anything with this. And here you can see that our institution is connected to the EWP network. You can do that here in the settings. We'll go to the next page. I've already filled in all the information. This is the partner page. And here you can see our information and the partner details. If you fill here in the pick code from the partner and then get partner data, then everything is filled out automatically. So it's not the Erasmus code. but the PIC code, which you can also find in the mobility tool. This might change in a later stage. I'm not sure yet. You can select the organizational unit, which is the faculty of the other institution here, and this is the email address there that the IIA is eventually sent to. Then you can go to the next page, and here you see the default IIA data, which is basically fact sheet information. As you can see, I cannot adjust that over here. You have to do that in your own default IIA data field here, and then new values for everything that you want to fill in, calendar part, housing, visa, whatever. And when you update this information later on, it is also adjusted in the IIAs that you have already created and that are already signed. So that's quite convenient. Then here, of course, you see your information, and then below it's the partner's information. So yeah, that's it for this page. Next page, the last one, is the corporation conditions, which are the mobility parts. For here, you can see that's page 1, and you can actually add as many corporation conditions as you like, meaning that you don't have to make new agreements for different agreements for students and staff and everything. You can just add it in one agreement. That's quite nice. You can select here one of the universities. You can see it switches easily, so that's nice. And then here you fill in the mobilities per year. You can select multiple ISCIT codes with control, and here you can select what mobility it is. If you select teacher, it changes to days, and yeah, for students it's months, of course. This is for study cycle, so I'll select bachelor. You can select whether it is for blended mobility, whether that's an option, possibly. You can always deselect it, and then here you can select the language of instruction and the level. So that's quite easy. And then I've already created a second corporation condition for the other way around. As you can see, that shows page 2, and I can also delete this or add a new one. If I add a new one, then the next page will become the third corporation condition. But now if I click next page after the last corporation condition, I come into the last final overview of all the information that you filled in. So this is the agreement in total. And yeah, here you can see all the corporation conditions. You can also see the default data. And then we come at the part where you can digitally sign it. It's a click and sign system. So if I click this button, it'll be sent and signed from our side to the partner. And then you can find it here in the IIA list, which is a total overview of all the agreements that you have made. And people that can have login to the system can see all the agreements in total. And yeah, you can see here whether the partner still needs to sign, or whether you still need to sign. And then you can edit it here also if some information is not correct, and then send it back to the partner. So yeah, that's how it works. That's the Erasmus Plus Dashboard IIA Manager.
I see that Peter van Niel asked, is the default IIA data that is put on every IIA linked to our Erasmus code, or can it differ per login account in the dashboard?
Yeah, it's linked to your Erasmus code. So if there are multiple people from different faculties that have a login to your same university, then it is the same default IIA data. As of now, it has as well some nomination deadlines, application deadlines, and they're looking into if this is convenient for every institution. So I'm not sure if they're going to change this. But for example, housing or visa information, that should be the same for most universities and institutions.
Yeah. I see the question from Sadrine. From Oh, it's moving fast. From Hannah, is it still the case that our institutions have to decide to either go with the dashboard or with a third-party provider? Do you know that, Lisanne? Because otherwise I can also...
Yeah, maybe that's better for you.
Yeah, so right now, for testing purposes only, I have decided to use Mobility Connect for my interinstitutional agreements, and then the dashboard for my fact sheet data. So when you go to, let me just get a pointer. When you go to this page, this page, EWP website and settings, under settings, you can actually say that you want to share, you want to use the Erasmus dashboard for your fact sheet data, or you want to use it for your IIA data. And it has worked for me to use it only for fact sheet and not for the IIAs. But you can't use it both at the same time. So I can't make an interinstitutional agreement in Mobility Connect and then edit it again in the dashboard and then go back to Connect and then sign it there. No, that's not possible. So you really connect with one API and you have to decide which system is going to use that API for you. There are a few more questions coming in about signing and arranging IIAs. Lisanne, did you see those?
Yeah, I can see someone asking about several contact persons to the agreements. At the moment, it's only possible to add one per university. So yeah, if I would advise you to send that as well in the survey or something that they send out after the test phase. And for the signing process, well, if someone has a login, you can do this at the end. It's a click and sign option. So you can create one draft for an IIA at one time, and then anyone who has a login can click and sign it, but you cannot send it to someone to sign it. It's really an idea, I think, for now, that you would need to arrange something within your university, like yeah, that it might work differently than to the signing process that you have at the moment.
Oh, I see. We now have a lot of Catherines. Yeah. So you can rename yourself if you've joined via a link that is called Catherine. You can rename yourself to your own name. And for everyone who's watching, if you could rename yourself with your the system that you chose after your name. So for me, it's Osiris. It's a third-party provider. Some of you will have MoveOn. Some of you will have MobilityOnline. Some of you will have Erasmus Dashboard, because that way we can actually manage the breakout room sessions that we have later on in this presentation. So you can click your own video and say rename, right-click, rename. Thank you for that.
I see someone asking if this is well, this is still the test version indeed, and whether the information will be deleted. I believe so, yes, right? They will delete the information that is in there at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I
You cannot start creating official IIAs yet.
Yeah, so actually there is not really a testing environment for the dashboard. So this is actually a live environment, but our agreement is that these IIAs are just for testing purposes. So it will be cleaned out, and then afterwards you will have like a fresh start to start again. So if you already have partners who are trying to sign these and make it legal, that's not the idea right now for the dashboard. There was also a survey sent out, I think yesterday or the day before, where you can also provide feedback to this Erasmus Dashboard IIA manager. And I think they will update it soon, but I don't know when. They had on the planning something about authorization, so that you can have multiple people who can only sign or not sign. They also had something about They wanted to be able to filter the list of IIAs, and there were a lot of things that were in the works.
Do you think it's a good idea to move on to the next system, and then we still have the breakout rooms for other questions as well?
Yeah.
Since we're already a bit over time.
Yeah, true. Good idea. So we will now move on to. So I wanted to conclude with, you have the terminology in the Erasmus Dashboard of partners, cooperation conditions, and send and sign. And you will see that these terminology, they differ per system. So now we go to MoveOn, where you have relations, agreements, and approving of the IIA.
Hi everyone, my name is Sumera and I am from Han University of Applied Sciences. I will give you a short introduction to how you can share and approve agreements in MoveOn. When you log in, you see this main view. First, you have to make sure that the partner is linked to the EWP network and that the partner is selected from the higher education directory. In MoveOn, we make for every agreement a relation, and every relation exists of different stay opportunities. These are the types of mobilities, for example, study abroad, incoming exchange, and staff or teaching exchange. You can share the agreement from the Relations menu. You open the Relations view. Then you enter the name of the external institution you would like to share the agreement with. From there, you click on the pencil icon and that opens the relation of the partner university. In this view, you see several fields you have to fill in. For example, the field of agreement type. Here you can see different options like student studies, student training, staff mobility, and staff training. If you have an agreement for student studies and student training, then you have to fill in the total number of months. When you have an agreement for staff mobility and staff training, then you have to fill in the total days. When you have filled in all the mandatory fields, you save the relation and then you share the relation through the Share Agreement button. At this moment, we cannot see this button, so I have to switch over to the PowerPoint I made for you, where you can see how it looks like. We have a Share Agreement button. When you share an agreement, this changes to Stop Sharing Agreement button. The next view shows us the Shared Agreement view. In this view, the newly shared agreement will appear in bold and indicating that it is new, or the partner has shared new information and action is required. The next view shows us the approval view. When all data is matched, the agreement can be approved. Then we go back to the shared agreement view, and here you can see if an agreement is approved or not. With this, I end my short introduction, and
Well, if there are not too many questions, how agreements are legally validated in MoveOn. Perhaps you'd like to answer that, Humera?
Yes, we are still busy with validating the legally signing procedure. We are not there yet because from the 1st of January, the whole Han University has a different organizational structure. So we are still discussing about who has to sign the agreement. But it is there, but we cannot see it yet.
Yeah, and just to be clear, is it already live? Like, can you already send an agreement to the Erasmus Dashboard and receive it back?
We are not using it at this moment. It is live, but we have to do first a pilot within our university, and some things has to be still arranged. So maybe perhaps in a month we will use it.
I see another question coming in. Is it possible to exchange the general fact sheet data?
Yes, but I could not show it because it was not possible. You can share different fields within MoveOn. So there's a whole list with options to share if you want to share contact persons, or there are a lot of fields you can share.
Yeah. Do you have any view on the timeline for connecting, for going live with the IIAs?
I don't know yet. Maybe in a month. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
No, there are no handwritten signatures.
No, so it's also a click and sign procedure. Yeah. Nicole asks, I have created and shared a lot of agreements, but what happens after it has been shared?
You mean when they have to change the data again when it is shared? I think when it is shared once, then you cannot go back.
Yes.
You have to, when you stop sharing the agreement, then the data doesn't go further.
I don't really know what you mean, but perhaps I'm not used to the sharing and the not sharing.
When you see a button share agreement, and when you have shared, and then you decide, okay, it's not right, or the data doesn't match, then you stop sharing the agreement. And then after that, all the data will be lost. The old data will come back.
Okay. Yeah, this is specifically it's a great conversation piece, and I think you should really continue it on Slack, because this is something where you can really learn from your colleagues. Yeah. Okay, so one last question. Where can I fill in the fact sheet data? I cannot find these fields in MoveOn, says Frauke. I think you didn't show it in your video, right?
No, it was too much to show.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of fields to fill in. So I didn't show it yet.
Yeah, so perhaps we could post a screenshot of it in the workspace. Yeah. Okay, we're moving on to, that's a bad wordplay, to MobilityOnline and also Mobility Connect between parentheses, because Mobility Connect is the free version of MobilityOnline. So that's kind of a competitor to the Erasmus Dashboard.
Hello, I'm Janet from Windesheim University of Applied Sciences, Zwolle in the Netherlands. Let me give you a small introduction of how to create agreements in MobilityOnline. MobilityOnline, which is connected to the Erasmus IIA Dashboard. On this page, you will find 4 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. These bars contain a workflow from drawing up an agreement to the last step of finally signing the agreement. I will tell you later on how to create a proposal. You can create a proposal under this to click on this tab, but I will show you that later on. Now, what you see here is a workflow. Normally, you would contact a university by email with the proposal to draw up, to renew, or to adapt an agreement. You would discuss the number of students, the increasing of numbers maybe. You would discuss maybe subject fields. Maybe you prefer to draw up an agreement with another faculty. And then finally, when everybody is okay with the content, the agreement will be signed. Well, here you find these same steps to be taken. When I open this blue bar, you will find the steps to be taken by me. When you find this blue bar, you can find all the steps taken by the partner institution. So all the steps are steps of approving or not agreements not to be approved. when you or the partner needs to adapt or to add some information, then the agreement will go on further and further in the workflow. And then finally, when the agreement is ready to be signed on both sides, you will find it under this last line. And at this moment, there's one agreement already signed. These are all test agreements, of course, at this moment. And the last step will show an overview of all the actions taken or actions still to be taken. Now, let me show you how to draw up an agreement. I click on this tab. And on this page, you will see data, which is familiar, I think, for you, because it is the same data you have to fill in on the paper agreement version, the Word template we had to deal with for so many years. Here, I have to fill in our own faculty involved. For example, we have 4 divisions. So, for example, I have to draw up a proposal for our business school, and I click on it, and so on and so on. Here I fill in the name of the partner country, partner institution. Well, it speaks for itself, I think. And then finally, I click on OK. I will not do this for now, otherwise this would be sent really to our partner institution involved. And well, it's not really the intention to that the partner will receive this test agreement. Well, that's it for now. This was my introduction. It's a small peek behind the scenes of the agreement procedure in MobilityOnline. I think it's enough for now, otherwise it would be too much information for you to deal with now, I think. Well, thank you for watching.
So thank you also, Jeanette, for your contribution. So you see that this is a whole different view and look and feel. So now you get the feeling that there are different kitchens that we're working in. So if you have specific questions for Jeanette, then please ask them in the chat. For now, I'm really curious, Jeanette, is this already, you said a little bit about these are testing agreements. Have you already sent an agreement to the Erasmus Dashboard and received it back from a partner?
No, we're just dealing with the MobilityOnline. So my workplace is MobilityOnline. And actually, I don't look at the dashboard because we are, of course, connected with it. But I work, I work only in the MobilityOnline system.
Yeah. And Marike asks, are you testing this in your live MobilityOnline environment, or is this a test environment?
No, I'm testing in a test environment. Yes. What you just saw was not really the test environment, but mainly I test in a test environment. Yes.
Okay, but the video we just saw is from the live environment.
Yes, that was. Well, I could show it in the test environment, but it's the same. It's similar. So there's no any other kind of view I could show you.
Yeah,
it's the same.
Yeah, and Marilene asks, did you perform a test toward another system than MobilityOnline? So I think what she means is that you send an agreement to a partner who is using the Erasmus Dashboard right now.
Well, at this moment, I'm testing with 30 of our partner universities, and they are diverse. I test with MobilityOnline partners, as well as MoveOn and partners who have a dashboard or other applications. Well, I'm testing now with 30 partners, and Yeah, it's really there are a lot of problems to be solved. Let's say that, yes.
Yeah. So which tests have worked up until now?
Well, which have worked only with MobilityOnline partners. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is also what I found. I'm using the free version of Mobility Connect. It's called Mobility Connect, but it looks exactly the same as the video. And what I found is that you can send an agreement. So you can create an agreement, send it to a partner who is using the Erasmus Dashboard. The partner can also sign. But the problem is that if the partner changes anything in the agreement, then on my end, I still see it as a signed agreement and nothing changes on my end. So that means that we can have whole different agreements. I can have 10 students, she can have 5 students, and we don't see each other's changes. So there is a slight connection already working. So the initial connection is working between the Erasmus Dashboard and Mobility Connect, or also MobilityOnline. But then the second step of the signing procedure and the changes, that is not working yet.
Yes, that's correct. I'm dealing with the same problems too. There are a lot of problems to be solved at this moment. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that MobilityOnline is also working on this, of course, but also they're waiting for the last API version, I think. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of going forth, and we will try to keep everyone updated also on the Slack, because we're also testing this ourselves, of course, to see if it works or not. Yeah, so also Catherine said she tested it earlier this year, the connection between MobilityOnline and the dashboard, and it did not work. Yeah, so MobilityOnline with MobilityOnline works because it's the same platform. They don't have to do it via the Erasmus Without Paper network. So that's the problem. So the Erasmus Without Paper network is still the kind of the place where it goes wrong. And when it's within the Erasmus dashboard, it's fine. When it's within MobilityOnline, it's fine. When will the API standards be finalized? Great question. The European Commission and European University Foundation will come with news, I think. I think they promised something in fall, so that might be soon. Okay, we're moving on to the next. Thank you for your great questions. So summarizing MobilityOnline, you have an agreements workflow, you have a partner list, and you have release and sign. Then we move to Osiris, which is also the system that I'm using, and I'm going to Virginia for that, from Breda University.
Hello, everybody. Before you see my film, hopefully that will also be a good view. But Osiris is a Dutch student information system, and it's what you called within Erasmus Without Paper a third-party provider. Within Breda University of Applied Sciences, we did test the Erasmus Dashboard and we looked at other opportunities, but we thought, okay, we're going to choose Osiris because, we want one system for all our students. And what the other big advantage was that when we're going to build it, the same process will be there for Erasmus mobilities, but also non-Erasmus mobilities. So that was the reason why we chose for Osiris. We are a third-party provider, so we haven't started yet. So the video that you're going to see is you will see how it is now, how the agreements are developed in the system now. It is a Dutch information system, so the language is Dutch. I've tried to translate everything what you need to know. And you will see only the agreements part of it. The registration of exchanges and placements are done in another module, which is linked to the agreements part. So. Okay, next up, Osiris. Today I will show you the agreement part of Osiris, the exchanges, so later on online learning agreement and transcriptive records and so on will be in a different part, but the inter-institutional manager will be done in the part that I'm going to show now.
In Osiris, agreements are managed in 2 different screens. The first screen is the institutional table of BUAS. So here you can see all the different universities that we work together with, also within the Netherlands, because that is our minor program that we work together with. If I scroll down, then you see the first partner university. For this, I'll just choose Management Center Innsbruck, one of our partners in Austria. Here you see in the first in the first row or first column our code that we give this university, the name as it's called in Austria itself, and the English code name as well. We have the country code, and if this university is still live or not. Then here underneath, when we click on the partner, we can see the city where the university is located, also the Erasmus code and the PIC code that it has. This information is to make sure that we are able to process transcript of records when students come back. Here, all the way underneath, we are able to put the contact persons of the universities in. As you can see, it's empty here, and that's because we have a customer relations system where we add all these details usually. This is the first part that we register the agreements in, and then we have the second screen. Type in, and those are the international office contracts. Well, very easy. There are all the contracts that we sign with our partner universities are registered here. We first of all start with the contract itself. We have the Erasmus code here, and also a code that we've added ourselves to label the program that this partnership is for. Then we have the name of the partner, also with another code from the program the partnership is for. Also the day the contract started, so in 2017, and also when the agreement should end, of course, end of the Erasmus program. The contract type, uitwisseling is the Dutch word for exchange. Also the level, it's on bachelor level, and also this is an actual relationship of BUAS. In this contract, we have 2 places. We are also able to add internal and external deadlines, but we've chosen not to do that, and also conditions when we are able to send a student or not. We've also decided not to add there. Then here we see the screen as I showed you before, where all the institutions are listed. This is the link with that table. So we have to put that in here to make sure that if a student applies for an exchange, that the name of the university is shown, and we link that up here. Then if we have certain agreements with faculties abroad at our partner university, very specific ones, we are able to show them here. Only at BUAS we don't have it. We just have a agreement with the partner university, and then specified in a certain theme, but not very detailed in which programs at a certain university. But you are able to register that here. And finally, we are able to register our own faculties. And you can be very specific until the opleidingen means program, until the very detailed program in the end. But we've just chosen to do it on our faculty level. For this program, it's Academy for Built Environment and Logistics. So that's what is now here in Osiris for how we register our partnerships now.
So Virginia, so if you see this now, you see that where we have to come from. So this is the starting point for us. Yeah. We still have nothing yet. So I have the same system. So we have nothing yet as of functionality for really connecting to EWP and really setting up our agreements. But we do have a promise of a start because we have these connectors that they will be connecting to. And there's this project that's starting in January for us. And hopefully we will have a working, functional IIA management system within a few months. There was a question from Marike in the chat, why I'm using Mobility Connect when I have Osiris. It's because just for testing purposes, actually. So I'm not really planning to use Mobility Connect because we have invested in Osiris and we will stick with Osiris. But I did want to know what the other people were doing, actually. So that's also why I set up this meeting, because I'm just very curious.
Yeah, and I think that my next slide will, it's also part of what we can do as a third provider. And that's maybe also good advice for other people that are choosing, or other institutions that are choosing a third provider. What can you do now while you're waiting? And one of the things is, broaden your knowledge about Erasmus Without Paper. So what Evelien is doing, I have, for example, tested the Erasmus Dashboard, and I was very curious to see what MoveOn and MobilityOnline was doing. I'm collecting user stories also within the team, our exchange team. What do you think is working in the system now? What do you think is needed? Also getting them to test the Erasmus Dashboard or to look into the other providers. Also looking at the processes that we have now, because maybe through Erasmus Without Paper we can make it easier and take that along. Like Evelien said, we're going to start a working group as from January 2021. And the main top tip I can give you is involve the ICT department. I think that's the most important thing. Those are our colleagues that you need in this process. So would say get in touch with them by having a cup of coffee with them and involving them.
Yep. So concluding about Osiris, you have a basic agreements, organizations, and a future connection that is still in the works. So those were the views, the glimpses into our kitchens. Thank you very much for our colleagues who provided these videos, and I will put them also on YouTube so you can review them later at your own time, in your own speed, and send them to your colleagues. So now we go into breakout rooms. Okay, so we're back. We just did breakout rooms with 110 participants in 11 breakout rooms. I hope that was a good experience for you. We had a very nice Dutch discussion about Osiris, in which I also learned new things again. So we're going to continue that on Slack. Can you access the Padlet again, was asked. Yeah. So Nadine asks, I would love to get some information about the initial process, how to start with EWP and MobilityOnline. So perhaps someone from MobilityOnline can answer that one. I see we have 4 more minutes in this meeting. I'd recommend that you put all the questions that you now have, because I know that this meeting will stir up a lot of questions, of course. Put them all in the Slack workspace, because also we are just users. We're not going to be answering all these questions via email. I'll just be sending you the link to the Slack and say, please ask there, ask your international colleagues. We can all have a community and just answer each other's questions there. I think we have a lot of knowledge between all of us. And also, I think there were a lot of digital officers in the meeting today, so they can also provide information. So we will just continue this conversation later. So if I'm looking at the Padlet, I see that there are still there are still quite a few thoughts about the systems, about what could work and what not. So do look over this, what you see here. Still trying to figure out how to get a validated signature. Yeah. How to set up a fact sheet. So my recommendation would be to get together with the users of these systems, see what you collect here on the Padlet, and communicate this to your provider. So communicate this to MobilityOnline, communicate this to Osiris, communicate this to MoveOn, And of course, the platforms that we didn't discuss, S3 and I think Tre, because it's Italy, Usos, Sigma. So everyone, contact your providers and try to get things moving. And also you can invite them also to the platform of Slack. It's not like they're not welcome there. Of course, they can also join. They can interact with their users, with other users. Yeah, we don't mind as long as we're respectful and we answer each other's questions. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up because I don't want it to take any more of your time. You are very welcome. We liked organizing this session, even though it blew up a bit more than we thought it would. I don't know, Sophia, do you have any last words for us, perhaps?
Yes, I would like to thank you, all of you, the participants and organizers, for taking your time and thinking with us and helping us. This is a collective effort. This is, I would like to at least hope to be the start of a bigger discussion. I would like to continue these efforts with you, the whole community in the Netherlands and on EU level, and feel free to contact us. Also, I'm urging digital officers to join us, to be more active, engage in conversations and help higher education institutions in getting this set up and organized, because this is for the benefit of all of us. And thank you all for joining us today.
And then have a great day.
Have a nice day.
You too. Have a nice day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.